Hockey season unofficially kicks off as the Rookie Faceoff starts tonight.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at The Reef, my blog about the San Jose Sharks, with a focus on Sharks prospects, as well as the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do, just follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. And today we're going to get you ready for the Rookie Faceoff, the unofficial start to hockey season, as many of the Sharks' top prospects are going to be in action over the weekend here in games against the Ducks on Friday night and then the Kings on Saturday. So we'll go through the Sharks roster, try to kind of put together what I think the lines are going to look like. We'll get to know some of the top Ducks and Kings players, and then what to watch for and why not. You don't get too high, don't get too low if your favorite player doesn't do what you want them to do. So we're going to kind of go through all that. So let's, of course, start with the Sharks roster. And good thing I know, because I'm going to get people asking me, how do I watch this? The Sharks will be streaming this from sjsharks.com. They will be streaming this, and Nick Nollenberger will be calling the game for the Sharks. So we won't have to hear the Ducks announcer, the King. Like, you will get to hear Noli talking about the Sharks. So I love Noli. I'm super excited. But yes, confirmed from him, Noli is on his way to Irvine to call this game. Or call these games. So you will be able to watch it from the Sharks website. And I don't know if it'll be on YouTube or not, or they can also they'll be streaming it from their audio platform, etc. But you will be able to watch the game. So, all right. Sharks, I know we kind of went through this when they first announced it, but we want to kind of dig into it a little bit more right now. And again, try to kind of what I think the lines are potentially going to look like. So the Sharks, of course, from the forwards, you have Philip Beested, Igor Chernyshov, Colin Graf, Kasper Holtz-Nett, Max Heiss, Zach Hoban, Cam Lund, Michael Misa, Quentin Musty, Ted Merchant, Jake Stewart, Luke Torrance, and Carson Wetch among the forwards. So let's start with those guys and kind of get to know them really quick if you don't know, of course. Beested, right, we know former first-round pick from the 2022 draft, kind of projecting to be the number one center for the Barracuda this year. Of course, you have Chernyshov, who was a second-round pick in last year's draft, played with Michael Misa in the OHL this year, was pretty good with his 55 points in 23 games in the OHL, and also got a cup of coffee with the Barracuda at the end of the year. Colin Graf last year, right, the undrafted NCAA free agent who the Sharks signed, split his time between the AHL and the NHL, and looks to be a full-time NHLer this year. Kasper Holtz-Nett, of course, the Finnish sniper, started the season with the Barracuda, went back to London where he helped win a Memorial Cup, had 21 goals in 38 games last year with London. Max Heiss, who the Sharks drafted in this year's draft, played last year in the BCHL, is going to be going over and playing with the Prince Albert Raiders. And I believe he's going to Michigan State after that. So he's going to be one of those guys who really benefits from the new rules with the transfer stuff. So Zach Hoban, so he's a tryout guy. So last year he was with the Ottawa 67s in the OHL. Played 51 games, 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points there. He's 6'5", 205 pounds, left-handed shot, and was a February 2007. So he's about 2 weeks older than Michael Misa. But yeah, last year he's on a tryout with the Sharks here. So Cam Lund, He is, of course, played with Northeastern last year, signed his entry-level contract, and played with the Sharks at the end of the year as well. And he's going to be one of those guys kind of competing for a spot on the Sharks roster. Michael Misa, of course, the second overall pick in this year's draft, freshly signed. Right, and we've spent a lot of time talking about Misa. You know who Michael Misa is at this point. Quentin Musty, the first-round pick from the 23 draft, of course, spent last year with Sudbury and then got a cup of coffee with the Barracuda at the end of the year. He's going to be on the Barracuda to start this season. So, and then Teddy Merchant, who the Sharks drafted this year, 6'1", 205-pound forward. Spent last year mostly with Chicago in the USHL. He's actually going over to the Q to spend a season in the Q before, I think, jumping over to college. So he's got one of the guys I got my eye on here. Jake Stewart, tryout guy. His dad was Brad Stewart. His dad is Brad Stewart. He spent last year playing with the U.S. national team. 5'9", 160-pound left-handed shot. 12 points in 23 games in the USHL last year. Luke Torrance, 6'1", 200-pound tryout, who playing with Oshawa in the OHL last year. 64 games, 24 goals, 29 assists, 53 points. He's a guy I'm kind of, again, keeping an eye on here. And then Carson Wetch, the Sharks' third-round pick from the 24 draft. So he spent last year playing in the WHL, the Calgary Hitmen. So that's all the forwards that are going to be in it. And it's interesting, like, only 13 forwards. So, like, these guys, most of these guys are going to play, like a normal amount of hockey here. So it would be, maybe one guy. You'll probably see one of the tryout guys get scratched the first day, and then the tryout guy gets a shot the next day type of thing. So defensively, Jack Barr, Noah Beck, Luca Cagnoni, Sam Dickinson, Jake Furlong, Braden Hache, Matthias Havlid, and Haoshi Wong. And then the goaltenders, I'm just going to lump all these guys together. Matt Davis, Christian Kirch, and Joshua Ravensbergen. So Barr is a NCAA signing from last year who played at Arizona State. I think he played one game, if I recall. Yeah, one game with, or no, sorry, Jack Barr. My bad. Sorry, he played with Harvard last year. Screwed up with someone else. So he's a tryout. My bad. So tryout player. He played with Harvard last year. 25 games, 3 assists during that time. 6'2", 209-pound right-handed shot. Noah Beck, that's who signed last year. He played with Arizona State and got a game with the Barracuda as well. Luca Cagnoni, of course, dominated the AHL last year. Sam Dickinson, you know who Sam Dickinson is. He's going to be pushing for a Sharks spot. Jake Furlong, player who played with the Barracuda last year, really came on as the year went on. Like the production's not going to be there for him, but he's like your next kind of shutdown defenseman type of player. And I'm kind of expecting a big year for Furlong this year. Braden Hache is he's a undrafted signee who played with he was actually with Saginaw, a former teammate of Michael Misa's. Last year split his time between the ECHL and the AHL, and another defenseman who I think was kind of really coming along as the year went on. Matthias Havlid, of course, the Sharks' second-round pick in the 22 draft, played last year between kind of split his time over in Sweden with some different teams. Finally comes over, and I think we're kind of excited to see what he does. And then, of course, Haoshi Wong, who the Sharks drafted this year in the second round, is going to be going back to Oshawa this year before heading to college in Boston. But 8 defensemen here, and I think we'll get a nice mix of guys here. And then among the goalies, Matt Davis, who the Sharks signed after he finished up with Denver last year, the Barracuda signed. He's on an AHL deal only. Kristen Kirsch, who the Sharks drafted in the 24 draft, and then Joshua Ravensbergen, who the Sharks drafted in this year's draft with the end of the first round. So quickly trying to kind of put together some lines here, kind of off the top of my head. I assume like Misa is going to be your 1C in here, and I kind of figure you'll probably see Chernyshov paired with him because those two guys already have a lot of chemistry. And I think Quentin Musty is your guy up top there. You might literally be rolling out a Musty, Misa, Chernyshov top line, which would be great for I'm super signed up for that. Second line, I would assume you probably have Beasted in the middle with Colin Graff, and then probably Cam Lund. I know both those guys are right-handed shots, but like the Sharks have a lot of right-handed shots in here, and you can't. It's pretty tough to kind of split them up. So third line, maybe it's probably Max Heiss or Teddy Merchant, whichever one. Like one of those guys will be the third line center, I assume, and one will be the fourth line center. And then on the third line for the wings, I would probably go Kasper Halttunen and then Carson Wetch on your third line. And then you can kind of, for your fourth line, you can kind of rotate in, your Luke Torrances, your Jake Stewart, some of these tryout guys here to with whoever, if it's Heiss or as your center. So that's kind of what that's how I would do it. We'll see what the Sharks do here, but that's how I would kind of approach it. Defensively, I assume it's going to be Dickinson and Cagnoni as your top pairing. And especially because the Sharks don't have a lot of left-right combinations here. Probably like a guy like Havled, and then actually I'd like to see like Havled Furlong because that could be a potential combo for the Barracuda. And then I'm going to go with like Wong and probably like a Beck or Hashay or something like that as your third pairing. And then maybe you rotate a guy in. So, and the way I assume they'll kind of split the goalies, I assume Davis will probably get a full game. And then they'll probably split Kirsch and Ravensberg. And that's my guess, but we'll see. So we're going to get to some of the Ducks and Kings players of note here. And then we'll kind of talk about what to watch for in this game. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch's built for people with busy lives. If you've been putting off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. It's like your own personal Puckpedia. And the great thing about it, too, is also if you're working with your partner, maybe you guys have separate accounts, but have joint goals, whether it's buying a house, buying a car, or just planning your next adventure. They make it super easy to work together, but also keep your finances separate as well. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. All right, guys, before we continue, of course, want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast. There's no off season, bringing you daily league-wide stories that matter most with local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. So we got that. We will also, there will be a reaction to this game. So we'll have something, even if it's like a little 10 or 15 minute episode. There will be something after both games this weekend. So Friday night and on Saturday afternoon, there will be reactions to this game. So make sure you guys check your feeds as well. So, as for the Ducks and the Kings, so let's start with the Ducks because that's who the Sharks play on Friday night. So Ducks, of course, have a pretty loaded prospect pool themselves. And I think the player you have to start here with is Beckett Sennecke, is like kind of the player I'm keeping an eye on from the Ducks, right? Sennecke playing with the Oshawa Generals last year, 56 games, 36 goals, 50 assists, 86 points during that time. Of course, was the third overall pick in the 2024 draft, teammates with Hao Shi Wang. And Sennecke is a player just like Sam Dickinson, right? Where kind of stuck in that no man's land of he can either go back into the OHL or he can play in the NHL, right? As he's in the same spot as a lot of these kind of players are. But he's the guy, like he's the kind of the guy I'm really watching with the Ducks, because I assume he's going to get top line minutes. He's probably going to be facing the Misa line, et cetera, et cetera. So like he's kind of the guy I'm really watching for them. Some of the other guys to kind of keep in mind, of course, they have Stein Solberg, who they drafted in the first round of the 2024 draft. Solberg, who we talked about on this podcast going into it, is that like murder child where he just destroys people. So just keep an eye on, don't entice the murder child to try to murder one of our children. That's the hope here, because Solberg is kind of a crazy guy like that, where he will he's not afraid to lay the lumber. He played in the SHL last year, played in the AHL. He's probably going to be in the AHL this year, my assumption, if he came over that quickly. Some other guys to keep an eye on here for the Ducks, Nico Majdovac, he's the second round pick from the 2023 draft, played in the AHL last year. Not too bad production, 10 goals in 64 games last year. Former second round pick there. So probably going to be kind of asked to do a lot of the heavy lifting as well. We'll kind of assume he gets top line minutes as well. You have a couple third round picks, like a guy like Noah Reed, who played with London last year. Was definitely kind of down the charts, kind of down the depth chart with London. You also have, some defense, like very good, like the Ducks pretty good at picking and drafting and developing defensemen. A guy like Connor Smith, who they drafted in the fourth round in 2023, bounced around a little bit last year in the OHL. He got traded, then got some AHL games. I'm kind of curious to see what his kind of path is for them. If he's 6'6", 216 pounds, like he's a big boy. That's a big boy there. So, and then Ian Moore, another guy who played in the NHL last year as well. Third round pick in 2020. He was played in college, played in with the Ducks, played with kind of played everywhere. He's probably going to be in the AHL this year. So some guys that we're probably going to be seeing here, as Barracuda fans. So as for the Kings, so they, of course, have their first round pick from this year, Henry Brusevich, who they drafted at the end of the first round. Of course, was Sam Dickinson's partner for a good chunk of the season. That's kind of their like main guy, him. And then also Liam Greentree, who they drafted in the first round in the 2024 draft. Greentree, just like Dickinson and Beckett Sennecke, kind of stuck in that no man's land of probably too good to be playing in the OHL, but he had 49 goals in 64 games last year with the Spitfires and 119 points. I'm curious to see if he pushes for. I wonder if he might be eligible to play in the AHL because of his age. So because he's a January 1st, he might be okay to play in the AHL. So that might be his path here for going forward. So trying to do math on the fly. I think he should be okay to play in the AHL. So scratch that. But another guy like for them, I think to keep an eye on here is Jack Hughes, not that Jack Hughes. So Jack Hughes, who they drafted in the 2022 draft in the second round, he played with Boston University, signed his entry-level contract, and is probably going to be pushing, is probably going to be playing in the AHL this year. He is a 6 foot, 170-pound center. I assume he's probably going to get their top center duties here. But a guy, again, one of those guys that as Barracuda fans, we're probably going to want to keep an eye on here as well. Jared Woolley, who they drafted in the 6th round of the 2024 draft, but had a really nice season with London last year as well. And then keep an eye on Carter George, their goalie. So he was a former second-round pick in the 2024 draft. Had a really nice season with Owen Sound in the OHL. But then played, if you're a Barracuda fan, you probably remember he came in and played 2 games with the 2 games with the Reign last year. He gave up 1 goal in those 2 games with a .984 save percentage, and he played very well against the Barracuda. Well, I mean, if you give up 1 goal in 2 games, you played pretty well. So he looks like a dude for them. So plenty of fun players to watch here if you're just a fan of prospects. Again, Sharks still have, I do believe the Sharks have the best team coming into here. But you don't want to go crazy with what happens. So that's what we're going to talk about, kind of what to watch for, especially from the Sharks side here. Why, again, to kind of take everything with a grain of salt with these prospect games. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel's great because they cover any way you like to play. Player props, so if you think Josh Allen's going to do cool Josh Allen things, if you're building a same-game parlay, maybe Mac Jones under pass attempts and Christian McCaffrey over rushing attempts, makes a lot of sense. Or if you're just jumping on live action as the game unfolds. And if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. I'm also super excited to tell you about my new favorite pair of jeanswear brand, Doer. I've been living in their performance denim straight, and honestly, they've completely changed the game for me. I love Doer jeans because, 1, they're super comfortable. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They feel stretchy without actually looking stretchy. And 2, they look great. I've been wearing them to work all the time. They combine classic jeanswear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic world wear, best of both worlds. And there's a reason why they call them the world's most comfortable pants. Don't just take my word for it. Try a pair on for yourself. Doer just open a store in Hayes Valley so you can feel the difference firsthand. Go check them out at 567 Hayes Street. And if you mention our code LOCKEDONSF in store, you'll get 15% off your first order. Or go online at shopdoer.com. That's DUER.com/LockedOnSF for 15% off. That's shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF. All right. What to watch for? And again, just like when we had the rookie thing, in July, don't get too excited if your player, if Michael Misa has a hat trick in the first period, that's pretty exciting. Does that mean Michael Misa is going to be the greatest player that's ever played? No. Okay. If Michael Misa doesn't do anything this weekend and puts up 0 points and don't get too high and don't get too low. Those are the rules for this thing. And if Joshua Ravensbergen lets up 5 goals on 7 shots, don't get too low. These guys practice on Wednesday, flew down on Thursday for this thing. a lot of these guys have not played together. It is just going out there and kind of getting a sense of things, right? So do not get too high or too low based on production outcomes, et cetera, et cetera. What you're watching for, though, is trends and kind of how guys kind of adapt, especially kind of thrown in this situation, right? And kind of in early chemistry building, right? And that's why when I was kind of thinking about the lines I put together, trying to put guys who may have played together or at least kind of know each other's games a little bit, right? And especially if you put like Musty, Misa, Chernyshov, right? Misa, Chernyshov played together for at least half a season. Quentin Musty, who's been in the OHL, like he's been around, like he knows who Michael Misa is. Like these guys have played against each other, et cetera, et cetera. And that kind of their skill sets really work well with each other, right? Misa just be Michael Misa, right? Chernyshov knows how to play off Misa, and I think Musty and his ability to just rip the puck, and his ability to kind of forecheck and like that line has the makings to kind of work together. For the second line, like Graf and Beckett have played together. They spent half a season together last year, and Cam Lund is I think he can kind of come in and play with those type of guys again, kind of that their skill sets all kind of match together. So that's what I'm kind of looking for, is to see, especially the top guys there, which of these guys kind of shows some flashes, show some chemistry together. And like the Sharks, and Mike Greer and Joe Will and all the brain trust, they're not going to make hard and fast decisions based off 2 games here against other rookies, right? So like again, if Misa has a great tournament or Misa has a poor tournament, that doesn't it's not going to change what the Sharks think of him or his chances of making the team, et cetera, et cetera. So try not to, again, not too high, not too low. Are we 100% going to overreact Friday night after the first game? You bet we are. But we're also, again, try to keep it in perspective. So defensively, I do want to see, of course, right, Dickinson. How does Dickinson perform here? And the hope is Dickinson is one of the best players, right? Again, if Dickinson doesn't have a great game or doesn't, has some mistakes, that's okay, right? Then those are going to be the next questions. Will be, how does he learn, and does he correct those mistakes the next time we see him play, in the preseason, et cetera, et cetera. So how does Dickinson? Who's going to be running the power play? Is it Cagnoni, who kind of ran the power play last year, or does Dickinson run the power play? That is one of the things I am actually really interested to see, is who gets first crack at the power play, and I kind of assume it's Cagnoni, just because Cagnoni's really good at it. Not to say that Dickinson isn't, but the Sharks have seen Cagnoni do the thing before. And yeah, so that's my assumption, is Cagnoni's going to get the first crack at it. So, and then among the kind of I don't want to call it the other guy, but some of the tryout guys, right? And the one guy I'm really kind of circling for the Sharks, it's a guy like Luke Torrance, right? And you saw last year at this, Lucas Van Roboys came in and just knocked the socks off, right? And really kind of set himself up for a really great season in the AHL. Can a guy like Luke Torrance, who I kind of feel like is this year's, I think he's the guy that you're looking at as a potential guy who can kind of come in, knock somebody's socks off, and earn himself an AHL contract as a tryout guy, and play with the ECHL, maybe start the season in the ECHL, and then eventually kind of play some minutes with the Barracuda, especially as the season goes on, and you just have attrition, right? And you need some guys to step in. He's the one, he's the guy I really feel strongly about as a legitimate chance to kind of come in and win a contract for with the Barracuda, right? Not an NHL like we got too many NHL contracts right now, but winning an AHL contract, I think Torrance has a really good chance to do so if he has a nice camp here or a nice 2 days. So, and then like I kind of mentioned earlier, like how do the Sharks kind of go with the goaltenders, right? Matt Davis, who is going to going to be competing for a Barracuda job or maybe start the season in the ECHL. Kirsch is going to be going back to the OHL this year, and Ravensburg is going to be going back to the WHL. Who kind of gets the first crack at the do you give Ravensburg in the first round pick the first run at it? Do you give Matt Davis, who's won a national championship, and kind of I do want to see how they kind of go with the goaltending, but I'm super excited. Like I don't want to take too much away, but it's just nice to actually watch like real-ish hockey again, even if it's just the rookies here kind of doing their thing. But I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. Like I said, we will have a reaction show Friday night. So make sure you're following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and on TikTok at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Until Friday night. Bye, friends.